We've got good news. We're also going to issue open work permits for 3 years for them and their families to.
Hello, lovely people, and thanks for tuning in to another great edition of Choco Millionaire. And you know how we do it? Whenever I come your way, I come with nothing but loads and loads of good news. So, what do I have for you today, people? I have some amazing news coming out of the IRCC, which is Canada's Immigration and Refugees Citizenship Commission. Yesterday, at the Coalition Tech event, which is basically like a conference, the Minister of Immigration, Sean Fraser, spoke, and he had nothing but lots of good news. He announced 6 major immigration programs that were going to help people working in the tech or STEM industry. So without wasting too much time, let's go straight into this. So the first of them is a permanent resident program that will be introduced specifically for people in the STEM industry. Now, for those who don't know what STEM is, we're talking about science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Those of you who have trainees in these fields and professional experience in this field, the Minister of Immigration is assuring you that they are about to allow you to apply for permanent residency to move to Canada. Now, if you're wondering what this means to you, it simply means that irrespective of your geographical location or country of birth, you get a chance to apply to migrate, not just you alone, but you and your nuclear family, your spouse, and the children, if you have any. You get to move to Canada as permanent residents. Now, the second major program out of the 6 programs he talked about yesterday, which excited me the most, is what he calls the Digital Nomad Visa Program. Now, this is something that is extremely new and brand new. Now, the Digital Nomad Program seeks to allow people who work in the tech industries and already have jobs, all right? So you're working in, say, Europe, you're working in Africa, you're working out there in any part of the world. You already established working with a tech company. And then you decide that you want to come visit Canada. And whilst visiting Canada, you are still working with your company back home, wherever you are from, right? But you got this visa, Digital Nomad Visa, to move to Canada to just come on a visit. And whilst you are here, you decide to settle in a community or contact employers in the tech industry here who then decide that they want to, hire you. If you find an employer like that, you get to regularize your stay and then decide to stay in Canada. I thought this is like a big news, and I encourage everybody to stay connected because effective from July, some of these programs are going live. You want to be ready to put in the visa application so you can move from Europe if you're in the tech industry or if you're in any part of the world. Just make sure you're ready to take full advantage of this visa program. Now, the third out of the 6 programs, which is actually my own favorite, is the one that favors our friends living in the United States. Now, there is a popular visa in the US called the H-1B visa, which is basically for skilled workers in the tech industry or with different skill sets. Now, there are also people who actually graduate from the US in different colleges and universities on F-1 visas and later transition into what we call the OPT visas, okay, the optional practical training visas, which allows them to stay in the US and work and acquire some, work experience. The challenge is that both of these visas have a longer pathway for people getting their green cards and eventually becoming citizens. As we speak right now, there have been people who have been waiting for several years, some of them over 10 years, just trying to get their H-1 visas changed or transitioned into green card. And it's a very sad reality given that the US is actually the powerhouse of tech companies. If you go to Silicon Valley, for example, and not just across, so many people want to just move there because truth is they actually pay better in the US if you work in the tech industry. And truth is that it is actually much better there for tech guys too. But Canada has been monitoring all these developments in the US, knowing that people are facing massive layoffs, jobs are getting transferred to places like the Philippines, and people are losing their jobs. And it is pretty uncertain for a lot of people when it comes to their immigration future. So Canada has launched a brand new visa program for tech guys holding H-1B visas in the US. And guess what? Effective from next month, there will be 10,000 visas issued to people holding H-1B visas in the US to allow them to move to Canada and work in Canada. And I thought this is an amazing news that our Indian tech guys who live in the US and haven't gotten their green cards or citizenship yet will be jumping onto, because these guys are just quick in acting. And I'm just hoping that a lot of African brothers who are also in the tech industry and haven't got their papers will get to move there. And for those who don't know, our own brother Jay Kwashi, who is doing really, really good in Canada, based in Alberta, was in the US before moving over. So I encourage you to take advantage of this, as there are 10,000 slots, which is visas, to be issued to anyone holding an H-1B visa. Now, I like to share with you that it has not been easy for people living in the US. For instance, Raj Kamatak, who is a medical doctor in the US, has been living there for over 10 years and still hasn't gotten his green card. Let me read his own tweet. While I'm still waiting in decades of inhumane green card backlog, I see physicians, those who came to the US a decade after me, receive their green card, and many already are citizens. I can't change where I was born. US must stop country of birth discrimination in 2023. But you might be thinking that Mr. Raj, the medical doctor, is the only one. But what about Mr. Vivek Wadhwa, the academic tech entrepreneur who is in the Silicon Valley area? He also had this to say on his Twitter page. I no longer advise foreign students to stay in US after graduation, or tech workers to waste their lives as H-1B, which is H-1B visa holders, because they are taken advantage of by tech companies who know they are locked in for decades. And by locked in, it simply means the journey from being an H-1B visa holder to a green card holder to a citizen is a very long journey in the US. The opposite is the situation in Canada. In fact, in Canada, most tech guys will get their permanent residences within 1 year. If you're coming on this program, most likely after working in Canada for 1 year, you apply for your permanent residency, which could be approved in less than a year. And then 2 years after that, 2 to 3 years after that, you get to apply for your Canadian citizenship. In short, you could be looking at your citizenship within the next 4 to 5 years if you actually take advantage of this. Now, the reason why this is a very big deal is that, you see, in the Western countries, immigration can be very uncertain. Governments can come and governments can change immigration policies. So if you're working in countries where you're making good money and your immigration status is very, very unsolved, you haven't solved that out, you could always be finding yourself in trouble if another government come and change it. And I think this particular government in Canada is pro-immigration, and they have a lot in store for you. So you want to make sure you are sticking with this channel and getting all the links to apply. I will actually be linking all the various links about these programs in the description box. So make sure you're clicking on that. Make sure you also hit the like button and subscribe, just so when I drop new videos, you can also get them as soon as possible. In the meantime, I'm going to leave you to enjoy this announcement from the Minister of Immigration, Honorable Sean Fraser. And just make sure you stick around with Choco Millionaire to enjoy more. Thanks for watching. Bye.
So today, we're unveiling our new strategy to attract some of the most talented tech professionals from all over the world to come to Canada. Now, I've been given only a few minutes to share 6 new and improved ideas. And folks, fasten your seatbelts, because this is a big deal. Here we go. First, we are launching a new and dedicated pathway for permanent residents that's specifically available to employees and workers in the STEM sectors. Second, under the Global Skills Strategy, this is a program that was launched about 5 years ago and was extremely successful to bring talented people to this country, but it was hampered by pandemic processing delays. A new application that comes in today, we expect we can process that work permit in just 2 weeks, so companies can have access to the talent that they need when they need it. Third, the Startup Visa Program which creates a pathway to permanent residency for entrepreneurs who create companies that will hire Canadians, has been suffering from certain challenges. This is a program with extraordinary potential we've not been able to realize simply because there was a flaw in program design. We receive more applications than we have spaces available. We've recently increased the number of spaces from 1,000 a year to 3,500. But going forward, we're going to prioritize applications within that system by focusing on features like whether a company's got capital committed or whether it's received an endorsement for a trusted partner. But for those who are in the queue, we've got good news. We're also going to issue open work permits for 3 years for them and their families to be in Canada while they wait for their applications to be completed. Now, these are some new ideas. Those are some ideas with existing programs that we're improving, but we get some brand new information to share as well. Over the course of this year, Canada is going to be developing a specific stream for some of the world's most highly talented people that will be able to come to Canada to work for tech companies, whether they have a job offer or not. Fifth, we are going to be launching a digital nomad strategy, which is going to allow people who have a foreign employer to come work in Canada for up to 6 months, live in communities in this country, and spend money in communities in this country, and should they receive a job offer while they're here, we're going to allow them to continue to stay and work in Canada. Sixth, and finally, we've been watching very closely what's been going on in the tech sector in the United States. Where we've seen a public narrative around layoffs, we've been having private conversations about opportunities. Going forward, as of July 16th, we will have a stream that will allow 10,000 H-1B visa holders in the United States to come and work in Canada. The reality, folks, you've got the ideas, but you need the talent. You've told us that and we've been listening. We're going to do everything that we can to position Canada as the destination where your ideas can become a reality. Thank you, Collision, for the opportunity to share this news. It's time